This is why I don't wear makeup, because I can feel cat hairs stuck to it on my face. Hello, it's me again. I'm going to try something new where I'm going to pre-film two videos back to back where I go over two different oracle decks that I recently acquired. Both of these were gifted to me as gifts by my lovely husband, and so one of them, the one you saw in my last video, the Fairy Forest Oracle, was one that I definitely specifically had found and wanted, so he went out and got it for me. The other one is one that he found on his own and bought, and so it's one that at first, I will admit, I wasn't really drawn to, and I'll get into why. But today I'm going to show and tell you about this Beyond Lemuria Oracle card deck. Comes in a similar size box as that Fairy Forest Oracle, and similar size cards too. These are very large, so not quite as convenient or easy for traveling. And honestly, for me, with like my little tiny person hands, it's a little bit unwieldy to shuffle these types of decks. But I'll be honest, the artwork in this didn't really appeal to me at first. It does and it doesn't. In many ways, I can see why my husband purchased this for me, because it does. There's a lot in it that does appeal to my aesthetic, in terms of it has this like very pretty blue, purple, green color palette, which I really like. There's a card with a cat on it, the Portal Keeper. And so I can see why you'd think that would be right up my alley, and a lot of the artwork in the cards almost has like an anime-ish aspect to it, because like just in terms of the way like the eyes in particular are drawn is, I think, what makes me get some anime vibes from it. Here's a cool one, Furred and Feathered Friends. So this one I feel like is definitely a deck that's really centered on energy and healing and light work. Because you'll see cards like this, and then I believe there are cards that tie into the different elements. Like here we have one for air, and there are also cards in here that correspond with each of these chakras, which energy and healing work is another thing that I would like to explore eventually among the myriad number of other things that I want to learn in this path. But I was a little bit put off by that at first, because like, I call myself cute girly goth for a reason, you know. I'm kind of that weird juxtaposition between like cynicism and optimism. I call myself like a rugged optimist or a very jaded optimist most of the time. And so here's a really cool one for the crown chakra. And so I can definitely see this being a really good deck to go to if energy work, healing, and light work is something that you are interested in working with. But it kind of turned me off, or put me off a little bit at first, because it almost fell into that stereotypical like new age thing that you might think of when you think of like crystals, energy, like, you know, just vibe, man, like live off the beams of the universe. I don't know. Anyway, so there was a little bit of that I felt like upon first glance, and yet at the same time, I did find myself pulling from this deck the other day when I wanted to just do a reading and a card pull for myself, because I feel like I'm definitely not all of the way back there in terms of my own journey back from all the shadow work that I've been going through just over the past months, years, lifetime, lifetimes, however epic you want the scale to be here. It's a never-ending journey, basically. We're always trying to work on ourselves, or I feel like we should be anyway. And that's what the gods want from us, is to always be trying to better ourselves and be the best version of ourselves that we can be. So with that, I definitely think that this deck could be good for that. And so while I initially didn't know if I was going to want to hang on to this one or work with it, I feel like Miguel also bought it for me because I'm really into like Atlantis stories and the Atlantis mythos, and Lemuria is another like lost ancient civilization that kind of goes hand in hand with that. And I think that's one that he's really interested in as well. So I think this being called the Beyond Lemuria deck is something that appealed to him as well. So I can see both of us maybe getting into using this one on occasion. But yeah, as I explained in the last video, usually my practice as of late has been to mix multiple decks into one reading, which I never used to do. I mean, I just only had a Rider-Waite deck up until now, so I couldn't really mix and match with decks and oracle cards, but now I have many options to choose from, so I will usually pull cards from a more standard tarot deck, and then I'll also pull cards from one of my oracle decks, and for me that will usually depend on the nature or context of the reading, which one I go to. So I have been finding myself going to this one for certain circumstances. Yeah, mixed feelings about this one so far, but I think because of that initial like off-putting thing about it, I haven't really worked with it too much yet, but it's definitely one that I might experiment with a little bit more and see if it's something that works for me or not. So, like I always say, to each their own. You might get a deck that doesn't appeal to you or that you just can't connect with at all. I definitely have a couple others like that. How cool would it be, like, at some point you just have, like, pagan swap meets, or we can, like, meet up and trade tarot decks, like Pokemon cards. That would be awesome. But, yes, this was the Beyond Lemuria Oracle Cards by Izzy Ivy. That's a cool name. I do like the color scheme of the cards. Ooh, loud noises. And I do like the artwork itself, but in terms of, I feel like the specific energies that this deck puts out, I can definitely see it not appealing to some people. There's definitely kind of love and light tones to it that may not be for everyone, but I have used it once or twice. It has been helpful if that is something that you are in need of, is some light work and some healing and some energy work. So those are just two that I have acquired in my collection recently, and I will be throwing up more videos in the coming weeks going over a couple more that we have. Hopefully I will have some more time to either, at least glance through them and play around with them a little bit more. And I expect to also see them in the intuitive reading videos that I have been putting up, because I'm going to try to keep those coming as well, because it's good practice for me. So I hope you enjoyed these quick little show and tell videos. And I'll see you next time.